Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Melon Sugar Podcast.
It's Merry Christmas to all our listeners, and let's say a Happy New Year. Of course, it's just some few minutes to 2023, and we are back again with a new episode. Season greetings, everyone. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Delali. It's Delali. Seriously. So, wait, sorry, listener. I think today's show will be like quite raw because we are all, for me, I have a cold or like a flu or something. So maybe the show will be kind of like, let me say, it will not go
Dry?
as dry, or it might not go as how you like have wanted it to go. So please just take it like that, and just take it like that. So, Delali, how was your Christmas like celebration? What did you do exactly?
Well, first off, before the holidays, I had plans. I wanted to begin with my church. We have this annual carol service which we hold every 24th. So I thought that was where it would begin for me, but quite unfortunate. On the 24th, I went somewhere. I came back home quite late, so I could not attend. The carol service. And then the 25th, 25th was on a Sunday, so I went to church. Afterwards, it has been work home. I've not really done anything out of the norm. It has been a normal week for me. Nothing really special. So yeah, basically for me, my holidays has been normal.
For me, as you can see, as you guys can let me sense from my voice and everything, it's been quite horrible because I have to cancel all my plans. Because on 24th I was okay, everything. Then midnight 25th, I was like so into my bed and everything. I was sweating and all that. So let me say, I just got to go to the beach and for that part, even when I went, I was just in a friend's car, and I was just like inside the car. Then I just told him we should just go because I was not feeling it at all. Cause Charlie, seriously. But for me, this is the first time that I've gotten, let me say, a flu that has made me to like be in bed. I can't do anything. So for me, my Christmas was, let me say, this season, Ankasa, this year has not been good to me. So let's just head to the street. Let's just move on to today's episode, because I had planned a lot of things to say, but with everything that went on with my health and everything. So we came up with this episode titled, hey Charlie, wait, I forgot the title. Okay.
Let me help you.
What did 2022 teach here? So to our listeners and everywhere, some of you might say, okay, 2022 was very good to you people. But for me, I would say it was moderate. I'll just say it was moderate. You, Delali, how about you?
Well, for me, 2022 actually taught me a lot. It taught me so much. Listen, moving into 22, so 2021 November, I resigned from my job. So and then started my startup. So moving into 2022, the plan was to build my business to a certain level. Listen, I had plans. I had plans and aspirations. I wanted to meet certain targets, but of course 2022 came with its own troubles. The conflict and the war in Ukraine intensified, disrupting almost everything in the world. Inflation skyrocketed, especially in that part of the world, Ghana. Inflation was so high, affecting businesses. So listen, you send clients notes. I'm sorry, you send clients quotations, performance, and they don't even get back to you. Cause the funny thing is you're not you can't even be mad. You can't be, and cause even deep within things have gone so up. Like the price of things have gone up so high that it's expected. Cause listen, with the kind of work we do, it's you need money. You need lots of money, and if you send quotations to clients and then they see the total, it's expected that they won't get back to you. But sometimes for me, one of the things that I have taken respite in is sometimes you go to the site and you realize the job hasn't been given to anyone. So then okay, well, there's still a possibility you'll be called to come and do the job because no one has been called to do it. So for me, I learned that, listen, you plan. And planning is good, but sometimes things happen and then they just don't work out for you. Your plans don't really go as you've intended. And then also one other thing I learned in 2022 is that what you post on social media, on Twitter to be precise, because I am not really so active on other social medias. I think the only social media I'm really active on is Twitter. Yeah. What you post on Twitter, no matter how self-explanatory or simple you might think it is, someone will still read other meanings to it.
Oh yeah, true.
People just twist your words just for the fun of it, or sometimes I don't know if it's the lack of understanding or something. Because this year, for me, because I don't really enjoy explaining myself over and over. Sometimes what I do is when I'm putting a post or when I'm commenting on someone's tweet, I try to make it simple and self-explanatory so that I wouldn't have to come back and then explain myself. But no matter how I do it, I still get people who twist the words and make me want to explain myself further. So I just listen. Twitter is a different place altogether, and no matter how you put your words, tweet your words, or no matter how you put the words together, someone will still read other meanings to it, meaning something you didn't even think of. It gets forced. Yeah. And these are probably the two major things I have learned this year.
For me, let me just say 2022 it's like I hate it and I don't hate it, because at a certain point I wanted to quit my job, seriously, because I've just been transferred from where I am to another place, and the place too I thought I'm okay, I'm stable now, not knowing the bosses were actually cooking something. So let me say, you know how government institution is. You might not stay at one place forever, but sometimes it gets so crazy. Cause for me, I never knew how crazy, let me say, some things can be. So a whole lot. So let me just say, for close to like 1 month, getting to November, I got my transfer letter to be transferred to another place, and I was very, very shocked. I didn't know what to do, so I was like quite disappointed in myself. I wasn't, let me say, disappointed in myself, but it got to a certain point I didn't know what to actually do. So it's like you had something like, you've got into somewhere, but no, you are no longer at that place again, and it felt very, very disheartening. And seriously, and you getting transferred, and later you get to know the place you've been transferred to is not ready, so you have to stay at, let me say, the old place. But in staying at the old place, you are not like, still, let me say, you are not there, like, let me say, you are not there at your present position. No, someone is there. You are just there with no portfolio, no nothing. You just wake up every morning, you take your bag like you're going to work, then you just go and sit down without doing anything, and then it's 4 o'clock, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. You just take your bag and you just go home. So for me, it's kind of made me to, I got like, it was trying to like seriously fuck up my mental health. So I had to just take it cool. And a friend of mine at work was like, it's, let me say, it's just something that normally happens. So I shouldn't just take it. I shouldn't take it like at heart too much and all that. And 2022 for me is very, very bad. So with whatever I said with my workplace, and let me say with a whole lot, cause for me, let me say, for just as Delali was saying, I think I was one of those people who the economy hits very badly, seriously. Cause I sometimes tell my brother that if the economy had been well, I would have been, like, let me say, a billionaire by now. But things don't really work out how you want it to be. And getting to like the latter part of August, September, it was very, very crazy. Serious. It was very, very crazy. Because sometimes I couldn't even, like, let me say, write even something down, maybe like a script or something, to just say, okay, I'll be talking about this on my podcast or something, or maybe I'll be maybe discussing things with Delali or something. No, it is very, very hard, because you wake up sometimes and one thing that gets to you is what's happening, what's wrong, and it's it's just like messing up your entire week. And sometimes you wish like the next year will come very soon, and in a few hours the next year will be coming soon. So for me, I would just say I give thanks to God that I'm even still alive and everything. Yeah.
You know, one other thing this year actually taught me, um, in terms of relationship, is the fact that, so you know, I've been single for, for some time, and
Mm,
I started talking to someone.
mm,
So you know, so for me, when when someone says I'm talking to someone, for me, the way I understand it is the person is aware of the intention. I'm also aware of their intention, and
yes.
we are trying to get to know each other. But then I
Yeah.
realized that when you're talking to someone, you need to make sure whoever you're talking to is also talking to you, or whoever you're talking to
Mm,
feels the same way about you. So
yeah.
listen, I was talking to someone, and listen, we had made headway. We had gone. Listen, we had okay. Yeah, I can't say we, but what I can say is I had gone so much deep into it. You get it. So I felt, I thought the feeling was mutual, and that she felt the same way about me. Only for me to later on realize, and the way the thing even happened was so funny. This lady was having man's problem, like she was having a problem with another man,
Mm,
and the funny thing was, the problem she was having wasn't with me because I was not giving her any problem. So for me finding out that the person I thought I was talking to, or the person I thought we were like working on something, building something, is having man's problem, which isn't coming from me, was a shocker. Like I was really shocked. I was like, ah, but I thought we had something going, even though I had not really like proposed to you. I thought we were both
yeah.
getting to know each other better. So like, what really happened? And I was shocked. I was really shocked. I was like, yo, I have just wasted my time.
Mm,
I've wasted my time. I was like, damn it. Like I was pissed. I was really pissed. So I was like, damn it. Like, yo, listen, this year has been tough. It has been really hard. It has been
mm,
really hard. For someone like me, for people, so for there are a lot of people who talk to multiple people just in case one doesn't work. But
yeah.
for me, I don't want a situation whereby like I'm talking to multiple people, then I decide this is the person I want to be with, then I leave the other person hanging when probably the person has also really gotten so much deep into it. I just don't like that, I don't like that feeling, so I don't want to put someone through that. So for me, it's relationship wise, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me at all. This year messed me up. Honestly, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to God that at least it's coming to an end. 2023, we can at least start afresh. Start afresh, and then you know use the lessons we've learned this year. You know, to shape how we do things the coming year. Cause I don't think I want to find myself in such situation anymore. Honestly.
You can start afresh, but for me, nothing worked. Relationship, no. Money, no. And whatever at my workplace, no. I think for me, it was just messed up. Cause seriously, for me, it got to a point in the year. I had to. Let me say, it was trying to fuck with my mental health. Cause I don't know if you might remember. I don't know if you noticed or something, but I didn't want to end season 2 of our episode. But it got to a time, it was so crazy. I was like, nah, I can't do this thing again. So let me just tell my co-host, like, let's end this season, and let's see if season 2, let's just end this season 2, and let's see if season 3, he will still be around. Cause for me, I know you were so into it though, but for me, it got to a time I wanted to just opt out. Cause, like, you could sense for me, my brother will sometimes when I'm recording with you, my brother will be sitting, and he will just be watching me, and when maybe there's a network problem or an issue, and when I'm trying to get back to you, he's like, nah, the thing no day, like, it's like the thing just vanished from you. And I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, cause the first time, cause how you used to be in it and all. I'm like, nah. Okay. So for him, he was like, okay, do you know something? Just end this season, cause it was in my head all this while. But I'm like, okay, just end this season. So that's why I made us to end the season and just go on a hiatus for like 1 month or so, then come back with another season. So I think when we started the season 3, and the first episode where I saw like the ginger and everything came in, that's when I was like, no, like I'm back again. Yeah, I'm back again. So, and let me say, having the show with you became like kind of my refuge or something. Because when I wanted to like maybe spit out my mind or do something, because most of my friends, seriously, let me just say, they are crazy. They are crazy. Even when I was even sick now, you could see one of them even came to take me to the beach while I was shaking. They came to take me to the beach. So for them, it's kind of like, for them, and for me, I have friends that, let me say, you can't say things to them. For them, they rather say their thing. They rather, let me say, they rather spit out their issues to me. Because for me, whenever I try to, like, let me say, talk to them about my stuff, they don't want to listen. Or they might just say, for you, the counselor. For you, like, let me say, the counselor, you want us to listen to your stuff. But for me, I'm more of like, I'm able to take in their things, and I'll just be, like, I'm a good listener. So I think for me, this year, it was very, very hard. And I hope next year they change. Because I need friends who really, really listen. For these people, crazy.
one other thing I learned this year was so I don't know if you know I have a sister. I think I've mentioned it several times.
Yes, yeah, you
And
did.
we fight over some of the most unnecessary things, like
Mm,
sometimes over trivial matters. So somewhere this year, I sat down, um, I reflected on myself, self-analyzed, and I was like, you know what? Some of these things we fight over, they're really not. They're not. They're not reasonable. They're not like sensible things we should fight over. They're not things I should be angry about. So
yeah.
I just took it upon myself that you know what, from now on, when something happens, even if it's not my fault, and it's kind of like angers me, I'll just let it slide. Cause I was I was getting tired. I was getting tired of the whole fighting here and there, exchanging words. Like, it became. Like I said, it became like it started getting to me. So it just happened. And then I realized that. So when you sent me the topic you wanted us to discuss, like I was thinking about it, and then it hit me that we've actually not fought for a very long for a long time, for like months now. We've not fought, or we've not had issues. And I realized that whenever she does something and I'm not happy with it, I just let it slide. I just forget about it. Sometimes I just come and sit down, and then she herself will just come, and then that's it. So one of like the most trivial things we fought about is food. So sometimes I when I go to work, I come sometimes really late. So coming late to see that there isn't no food just pisses me off. Like especially days when she's home and didn't go anywhere. It pisses me off. Like I become so mad. I'm like, how can you be home all day and not like prepare something? Come on, like be serious. And then so sometimes now when I come and there's no food, I just go like, oh, but at least she could have prepared something. And then sometimes you say
Yeah.
that well, she wasn't in the mood or wasn't like okay. I just let it slide. Sometimes when I say that, I know somehow she senses my displeasure, so she just goes to the kitchen and then gets something like mix something. And then I
Yeah.
realized that what, maybe it was my approach, maybe how I used to go about it was what was really causing the fight, and then the whole quarrels. Maybe if I had handled it the way I'm handling it now, we wouldn't have fought over some of these things. So yeah, for me, this year I have learned how to deal with my sister better. I've learned to listen to things not really get to me, let it slide, and sometimes just leave them to realize their mistakes and their wrongs. Because sometimes it's not really about you. Sometimes when you point it out to them, they think you are you are just someone who's always looking for faults, so for faults on people. But when you
Yeah.
leave them, sometimes they sit down, self-reflected, and realize, well, they didn't do it right, or did it wrong or something like that, and then they correct it themselves. So it's not really about, it's not always about pointing it out to them. Sometimes you just have to leave them to and realize their mistakes and correct them.
Mm. I think for me, one thing that Sweden Institute has taught me is, let me say, at my workplace, how to, let me say, be in a conversation with customers. Seriously, because for me, when someone comes, because I was at, let me say, the cashier's office, so when someone comes to pay something, and maybe my madam is not around, and I'm too, and let me say, I'm the only one there. So I have to set into them. And for me, seriously, for me, I hate people who just come and talk. They start, you are coming to pay like something, come and pay it, and then go. And you'll be like, you don't know, you told, you were like, you told your grandson to come and leave you, to come and escort you, he didn't come, and whatever. Like, for me, sometimes, seriously, starting from this year, I was so pissed at some people. Because sometimes there might be let me say, a very, very old person who will come and pay, who will come with his younger one or something to come and pay, and then the younger one will leave the old person to come and pay to us. So sometimes when you ask them something, it will be like they are starting to bring all their family like topics to you, and for you to just tell them, oh please mom, please, I need you to explain what you are coming to pay for. And that's very, very, for me, it just kicks me off. And when maybe the older lady or older man comes and he's like, oh, I brought my office with me, like maybe my grandson with me, and you the grandson, when maybe you come inside and I see you, seriously, how like my born or how I become angry, eh? But I think it told me like, seriously, now I'm able to be in long conversation with them, because for me I have nothing doing now. So when I come, if you want us to conversate, oh, I can just sit down and just be listening to you. And anyway, let me say it's been very, very helpful, because you get to learn a lot of things about some people. How maybe you might think your life is so fucked up, but for them, theirs is on another level. Theirs on another level, but just that they are just kicking and all that. Yeah.
On the issue of clients and how to deal with them, this year I've actually lost a lot of money. I have lost so much money, and that's because I with some clients I was thinking they would be reasonable, as I have been reasonable with them, because sometimes you go and work with you work for a client, and then you are thinking somebody work for a client, and then they tell you, you know what, I don't have cash, so I'll send you more money. You go and the money never comes, and it has been so with a lot of my clients, like so many of them. And sometimes I sit down and I'm disappointed, and but also come on, it's human. And most of them, sometimes what they fail to realize is they would need your services. And for me, all these ones, I look forward to them next year. I'm waiting for them. If I'm definitely taking my money out. I'll definitely take my money. That's the thing. I will, because listen, it's hard for me. And even the most annoying ones are the ones who still didn't pay when transportations went up. Because listen, transportation is sometimes you pick boats, and the charge alone is not easy. And
for me, one thing that this year I'm even more confused is Yango. You guys came to the country that yours will be like the most affordable rates. Now it's even more than boats. It's even more than Uber. Why? What sort of like bullshit is that?
So I know people who have all three apps. They have
me
boats,
too.
They have Yango. They have I have just one. I have both, because I don't listen. Sometimes you try to compare the price and you realize it's almost the same. Sometimes the difference is probably just a CD or two. So I just want let me just use it, and that's it. So for me, I use both throughout. Yesterday, 3 days today, I went somewhere. I had to use a motorbike, and that's how I even got some code. I had to use my motorbike. I had to use an Okada. Listen, I get there, and the client is trying to access you. I'm like, yo. Listen, I use Moto here. And you know how these Okada people, they charge, especially during the festive seasons, because they know people are in a hurry going somewhere, so their services are very needed, and then they try to sometimes exaggerate their charges and all that. So, listen, for me this year, I just feel I've just learned so much. I've learned so much, and next year the wicked mode activated. I finished working, I'm taking my money. No more money. If you tell me more money, I'll ask you to go and cash it out and pay my money. I'm not leaving without my money. Because I can't work and then send my money. Last week I had to. People are wicked. Though. One man, you when before I left the house, I left the house on Friday, very early in the morning. This was last week. I left the house before 5 a.m. Got to his place before 6. Left there around 10 in the morning because I had other things to do. So when I was leaving, I was like, oh, he didn't have cash, so he would just send me over money. I said, oh, right, no problem. Left, came back. The whole day I didn't receive the money. On Saturday, I knew weekend. Maybe he would say, them he has to go out and what. So I just I forgot about it and then called on Monday. When I called on Monday, he gave me stories that he will send it before 12. He didn't send it. And for me, the way I am, I don't even when someone owes me, calling the person stop. I feel a certain way about it. I feel it's embarrassing. You get it? So sometimes. So what? On Monday when I called and he said he would send it before 12, he didn't send it. On Tuesday I didn't call him, and then I called on Wednesday. This man didn't pick up. Okay. Friday I called my phone. He didn't pick up. Then I called my sister's phone, and then he picked up. I was like, what kind of life is that? I have come when you needed my services. You made me leave the house even before 6 in the morning. I come to work for you now. Send my money. It has turned into something else. Now you're not even picking up my calls. I told him, listen, I'm not going to call him again. If he likes, he shouldn't send the money. Do you know this man has not sent the money till today?
He won't send it. Why? He wants you to send it. He won't send it.
And he doesn't know what I'm planning. One day I'll just go to his house, remove the motor, and then honestly, it's really annoying. I'll just remove it from the motor and how he operates it, he should operate it. Because this is really, people come and work for you. I pick the car from where the trotro stopped, the bus stop to where he lives. You can't walk. You'd have to go with boat.
Yeah.
And if I want to pick boat from my house to his house, that's a lot of money. So I picked trotro. Before I picked boat. Now send me my money. That one has turned into a problem. I'll just go remove the board from the motor, and however he operates it, that's between him and his God. Because these people, I'm just waiting. Next year, the way I'll deal with them. Maybe I'm sure they will not even come and service again. Because they will be shocked.
Anyway, you guys can see how today our episode is so heated because 2022 was. Let me say, it was kind of rubbish, but you just have to let
people
it go.
People have taught us lesson. People have taught me lesson. Like
crazy lessons, but you just have to let it go. So, like in ending the show, like what would we say, like about? Let me see. Let's just go to our episodes for this year. What has 2022 taught you on like other like certain episodes on the season, like season 2 and let me say season 3, like what has it taught you?
On the topic of feminism, I think we spoke about feminism and then modern wave. Yes, I've realized that these people don't even care. The truth of the matter is they don't care. What they care about is themselves. They don't. Listen. We've all come. It's an understanding we've all come to accept. These people are not looking for equality as they claim. They're just looking out for themselves. They care just about themselves. And then on the topic of rape and then believe all women. Now we've come to realize that it's a lie. Some women have weaponized the whole matter and are using it to just get back to people they have had issues with. Because I don't know if you saw it on somewhere last week or I think during the weekend or something like that. During the week, a lady posted something about how a guy she met driving Benz. She later realized the Benz didn't belong to her, so she now it didn't belong to the guy. Now she feels used. and now she wants to go to the police and report that the lady, I'm sorry, the guy raped her and wasn't like, yo,
It's
you're
crazy.
greedy. So yeah, we just believe all women. It's now established that it's a lie. You can't really believe all women because some of them are liars. On the what else did you even talk about?
The
What did
mental
we
health and
Mental, yes, mental health. We've also listen. I think that was for me. I think that was actually one of our best episodes. And listen,
yes.
it's people shouldn't let certain things get to them. Because listen, if I had allowed some of the things I went through this year get to me, listen, I'm sure by now I would have been in a very dark place.
For
But
me, for me,
sometimes some
it
of these
was
things.
close like this, close. But I thank God.
Yeah, so some of these things you just you learn from them, and then um you know you learn from them, and move move on with your life. Yeah, people, and then also people should take their mental health very serious, and that's why it's very important that you don't let certain things get to you. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, your sanity and your health is very important. It's very important. If you allow everything get to you, uh, you would have, because if something happen, if it becomes worse, and then and you commit suicide. Now you've transferred whatever it is that you're going through. You've transferred it to people who love and care about you.
Oh
You
yeah,
get it?
true.
Which to me, if you ask me, is selfish of anyone to do that. So instead of committing suicide, you should rather take care of it, handle it, seek help if you have to. So seek help, and then yeah, that's it.
Hmm.
What else did we talk about?
Oh, what again? I think we had a lot. With the abortion thing,
Listen,
the abortion right thing.
yeah,
That episode was
yeah.
crazy because I got a comment on YouTube, and one guy was like, I think the guy is from the United States or something, and he was just saying something like obnoxious, like um everyone, like he was just saying like we shouldn't frown on people's rights. And I'm like, okay, so if we and I'm like, okay, if your mother was to let's just say, and I frame, I think I frame it something, but the comment, both of our comments was removed because I think they said YouTube something something something, because it was very wild. It was very wild. It was very wild.
Listen,
So
on the topic of abortion, I think we've made our point very clear.
yeah.
So people listen. People don't really get it. People don't really understand. I think that's the thing that it goes back to what I said about social media. Sometimes you make a point and you feel it's clear. The point you've made is very clear, but then people still twist it. No one is against abortion, but then I believe that abortion it shouldn't be made, it shouldn't be reduced to what it is now, where someone willingly goes to have sex, later gets pregnant and says, you know what, I want to abort the child. No, there are instances medically where a person is required to abort a child or terminate a pregnancy. You get it? That's allowed, and because listen, this is sometimes most of these things are life and death. You get sometimes even the well-being of the child who is even yet to be born is in danger,
Yes.
and such children, if you bring them to if you give birth to them, it's just trouble. You get it. You just you even be disturbing the children themselves. So the best thing to do is to terminate the pregnancy. That's those ones. No one is even against it. But then the situations where a person willingly opens up their leg, have sex, and then later wants to abort it. If someone is raped in such circumstances, it's understandable. It's in situation and incest where two siblings, it's understandable. But then aside that, come on, don't have consensual sex and then when you get pregnant, you say you want to go and abort it when you could have used contraceptive, when you could have used many thousand ways to prevent a pregnancy. So yeah.
But you should know there are some people who don't really believe in that who don't believe in like the after pill or something.
Then don't do it.
But they want it.
You see that the thing, you want it, but then you don't want to do things that would help you. Because these contraceptives actually, in the long run, are to help you. To prevent some of these unwanted pregnancies. Do
you know
if
me,
you don't
I have
want
a
it,
friend.
then I just abstain.
I have a friend who is into hookup. And do you know the funny thing? She's not like my close friend, but for me, I regard, like, she's very cool, but for me, for the hookup that she does, I'm not cool with it. Like, she's polite and everything, but you see, there are some people that you just talk to them, for them, they don't care. They'll just do it. Do you know when she goes to the hookup, she goes raw?
Hey.
And thankfully, she has never contracted any disease. I'm surprised. So I think the last time I met her was November. She came around my office to go and buy something, and she was like passing through to see if I'm around. And we just had a chit chat, and she was like, and I'm like, is she still doing it? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, there was this particular one guy that she wanted to have a baby with. And for close to like 3 months, they've been having sex, serious one, and the guy has just been releasing in her and everything. And she doesn't know why she's not having the guy's baby or something. And I'm like, what? So for me, that's what made me to ask her that, wait, so all these while you've been having sex? She said, yeah, the people who patronize her, who she sells her stuff to, they want raw, and for her, she doesn't matter. She just goes with it, and she doesn't know if she's guarded by the guardian angel or something. She's never had anything. When she goes to check, she's negative on everything, and sometimes even the nurses. So like when she goes and the nurses ask her, do you have protectors? Like they give her a pack of condoms. She said she doesn't like it. So I'm like, wow. Seriously. So for me, how? And like for her, like I think the one time that she got pregnant, but she lost the baby. And that was like a year ago or something. And for her, she said that was the time that she actually stopped believing in that contraceptive pill or something. Because she had it, she took it, she followed the instructions, everything, but still she got pregnant. And I think she said God actually like love her, so that's why the baby, like God didn't want the baby to be born from her. That's how she lost it. So you can see how our generation now, people are so crazy. People are crazy. Seriously. And for me, sometimes when she comes around and she's talking, I'm like, wow, I have some crazy friends. Like in my head, I'm like, seriously.
I think
why you are sure?
Protection for her. I am because I think she should start using protection for her own good. Because if she's not careful, it's like, when you're given a long rope, sometimes at a point in time you run out of luck. You get it? Yeah. And she start, at least she start using protection. I can't say she should stop, but at least protection there. I think she start using.
But she doesn't want to.
Hey.
And for me, I think what has helped her is like she has, let me say, seriously, this story is so crazy. She has like 15 guys, and the 15 guys, like she's their regular, so she goes ahead. So like apart from her, they don't go for anyone. And they are all married.
Hey.
They are all married. So for her, she's like, if you're in choosing the partner that she wants, if you are not married, you should be single. Even if you are single, you shouldn't be with anyone. No, you could be with anyone, but like you should fuck the other person with a condom.
You shouldn't change it from one.
Yes.
One to the other.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's crazy. And for one thing that she told me, like, she's not there. There are a lot of people, girls in Accra, who even do like stupid stuff more than her. For her, it's just only not wearing a condom, and she's still alive. I'm like, no, seriously. Now there are a lot of sicknesses around, so you should just make sure you always stay like. You should always stay clean. Just use a condom or let the person use a condom. He's like, nah, she can't. And I think that's how Naomi fucked up our generation is, or maybe the generation yet to come, the Gen Zs. They are now crazy.
Wow.
He said, wow.
This is wild.
This Accra, you hear a lot of stuff, so.
I'm telling you,
You hear a lot of stuff. Seriously, you hear a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff. For me, like, if it wasn't, let me say, I was sick. One friend of mine, I think he was the one that I was to go out with, and a couple of friends. For them, like, they are just, I don't know, let me say, they know everything in Accra. And they know, like, who is sleeping with who is doing this. And I'm like, seriously? So for me, sometimes when I'm in your mess, you're like, I'm so quiet. I just want to listen and just connect the dots. Because for them, they can sometimes speak in parables. So you have to like, let me say, you have to think fast.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's continue. Yes. So listen, that's like the crazy parts. And we also had like one of our episodes, we had like the financial stability thing. Seriously, in 2022, please, our listeners, make sure you start putting something down from tomorrow midnight, wherever you are. Maybe by tomorrow morning you are in 2023 or something. But for our people on the continent, please, you have to start putting something down. Yes, because 2023, seriously, 2022 we all did something. We all fucked up. Like the spending was too much, but in 2023 you just have to make sure you are financially stable in capitals. In capitals, not in small letters. And I think I think this episode, the season 2 ending and the season 3 was so great and all that. And I'd like to thank my co-host Lali. You've been amazing. You've been an amazing co-host, and seriously, I don't know how to thank you a lot, because sometimes
I try
with your busy schedule, you always try for me, and for our listeners. And sometimes for me, I feel like I'm worrying you, and I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe he has something to do, so let me just and you could just see he will just come and just text you, I'm ready, but sometimes I'm not ready. Just like today, like this.
So sometimes, sometimes when I'm coming from, when I go on site and I'm coming back, and I know we have to record. Sometimes I have like I gauge the level of tiredness. If I know I have some little energy in the tank, oh come on, when I come. But sometimes this is what happens. I come and I'm like, yo, let me relax a little. The little before I wake up, it's probably like it's past one. I'm like, damn it, what happened?
Yes.
Crazy.
So sometimes when maybe I see that, oh, maybe like he has not replied, I'm like, okay, maybe he's tired or something. Then I'll just, okay, let's do it tomorrow or something, because I don't want to like put pressure on him or something.
Yeah.
So listeners, you should all thank him, Charlie. He's been the, let me say, he's the realest, yeah. Yeah, he's the realest. Cause for me,
Thank you.
I was listening to a podcast. So seriously, I don't normally listen to other people's podcasts. So the only podcast I try to listen to is this guy, Sincerely Accra.
Yeah.
And on their last, I think, one of their episodes, the guy was like, he had wished he had got a co-host, you know, like, because sometimes with him being the only host, like, if it wasn't like the background, like, music and all stuff, and for them, their own is like, it's actually produced like in a typical like radio station or something. So you could see, so for instance, like he's like, he wants to experience that, like the normal like talking with no music at the background, just the music at the intro and like let me say the outro and all. He can't do that because he's the only one hosting. So for him, he tends to get with that vibe, like being the only person, and just doing it. So I was like, okay. So for me, ever since I'm like, oh, okay, then I'm quite lucky. And most of the time, you don't get to have, like, having a podcast, it depends. Sometimes you don't get to have people, let me say, with two people hosting a show, it's always like quite difficult. And with what I've read, and if the two of you are not like close and very serious about whatever you guys are doing, sometimes it just gets nowhere. But with the Lali, I thank God I made that post on Jodel that day. And I thank you too for always being a good co-host and a whole lot. Because I remember I've told about this story because I got one guy and that guy, we still, and you know, surprisingly, all the co-hosts that I was looking for, that I got, and the two others who couldn't, let me say, I couldn't do a show with. All of them, like, we still text, and I'm very, very surprised I still text them. They just sometimes they'll just listen to them, they're like, oh, okay. Even if it was them, they couldn't have done it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I didn't choose you.
You know?
Yeah, seriously.
Like I have listened to a couple of podcasts, and then after listening, I'm like, you know, if I had been asked this question, I wouldn't have thought of this. You know, sometimes you have ideas about certain things, but sometimes you listen to people and you realize that the level knowledge you have on the subject doesn't match up to the person you are listening to. And for me,
Yeah.
a way kind of like it pushes me to want to read on the subject matter into details to learn more about it and all that. So it's like that. It's like that. Sometimes you listen to someone and they're like, "Oh, Charlie, I didn't know this one though. I wouldn't have been able to talk about this. I wouldn't have been able to answer this and all that."
Yeah, it sounds cool. For me, sometimes when we record the show and we publish it, alright, it takes 2 days for me. So like, so for me, sometimes I just want to see how people are listening to it. So when, like maybe the first day, it peaks like maybe 1 hour, 50 people have just like 50 downloads, and I'm like, okay, in an hour, 20. Then like in 2 weeks time, I check, then it's like 200 downloads, and I just go back to the episode and just click on it and listen to what I said, and I'm like, seriously, this is so horrible. Yeah, it's so horrible, but those are like, how come? How did this how did like this, like our listeners listening to it get to love it? Because sometimes you could see that, okay, people started it and within some seconds they stopped, and some people they stringed it up to like the middle. Yeah, that's good. And some people too. So you could be like, oh, okay. So that means that this episode was very nice. So that's why I was very surprised when Spotify they wrapped 2022 wrapped something. They told me whatever in the mail, they said global citizenship. That episode was the most listened to, and I'm like, they are lying. Yes, they are lying. They are lying, because when I checked from Apple Podcast, everything, it was this thing rather, the pink month about the breast cancer. Yes, because that episode was like the most craziest episode, because I remember when we were recording it, we were using a new like recording software online something, and when we try recording, the Lali's parts he'll just go offline. So I think I had to just use my class one, let me say my starter, let me say auditing, edit skills. Then I paste it together somewhere. So I don't know if you listening to that episode, you could see that from the ending that we started, the voices, the tonation, or let me say everything just go up down, and for the last part, I was the only one ending the show. So I don't know if our listeners have listened to that. So yeah, that show was very crazy. For me, that show I didn't have any hope in it. I was like, oh.
I think that's that episode we recorded like 3 times.
Four times. Because 4 times, because the first one it only got to 10 minutes, then it cut. Yeah. And I didn't hear anything. Then the second time to retry, so I had to just fix them together. Like it was very, very crazy. Seriously, it was very, very crazy. But when I was done with everything, I was like, okay, you just let me just publish it and see, and voila, I was even surprised. It did so well. So our listeners, I think we've said a lot with this episode, and we just hope you guys liked it. And with our banshing and everything, talking about 2022 and everything, for me, I just hope 2020, in some few hours, in 24 hours, we'll be heading to 2023, and I just hope 2023 will just bring us more blessings, more opportunities, and a lot of luck, because we really, really need it. Every one of our listeners need this. And for me, all I'll just say is that you should all have a positive mindset about things you want to do and just share up. Just be yourself. Because we might never know what 2023 will bring about, but you just have to make sure you stay on the positive side and just be yourself at always. Yeah. So from that's what I've said. What do you have to say?
Well, I think you said it all. We pray, we pray that the coming year, brings us lots of luck, and blessings too. Because listen, next year, man wants to make a lot of money. And then you can't do it without luck and God's blessings.
Yes.
So we pray and hope for the best, but then also, preparing for the worst. Because I think that's probably the mistake we did this year, not preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. But this time, we are hoping for the best, but also preparing for the worst. We are arming ourselves. For whatever life throws at us. So yeah, maybe we hope next year, turns out good.
So from us, the two hosts of Melon Sugar Podcast, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Support the podcast. Just click the link below, the PayPal link below, and just do magic for us. See you in 2023. Be happy.